Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Breaking news from the Middle East, an explosion of violence that has shocked the world once again. Late last night, what began as a fragile ceasefire between Israel and its neighbors shattered in a storm of fire and destruction. Reports are now confirming that an Egyptian military strike destroyed an Israeli convoy that had crossed into the Rafah border area, allegedly violating the ceasefire agreement that was supposed to bring calm after weeks of escalating tension. According to multiple field sources and international observers, the Israeli convoy, consisting of armored personnel carriers, supply trucks, and several Merkava tanks, advanced beyond the restricted zone, prompting the Egyptian army to respond with full force. Within minutes, Egyptian air units launched precision-guided missiles that obliterated the convoy. Eyewitness footage shows a massive explosion lighting up the desert sky near the Gaza, Egypt border. The strike was so powerful that debris scattered across kilometers, and secondary explosions were visible as Israeli ammunition trucks detonated. Israel has officially confirmed the loss of several vehicles, but has not released casualty numbers. However, early intelligence from the region suggests that over 40 Israeli soldiers were killed, and dozens more wounded. Egypt, meanwhile, maintains that the strike was a legitimate act of defense, not aggression. Egyptian officials claim that Israel had violated a signed truce mediated by Qatar and the United Nations by deploying ground units across the demilitarized buffer zone. International reaction was immediate. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency session, calling on both sides to de-escalate before the situation spirals into another regional war. But the tone in Cairo is unyielding. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi addressed the nation, saying, "Egypt will not tolerate any threat to its sovereignty. The ceasefire line is a red line. Any violation will be met with decisive force." Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, the Israeli government is facing outrage and confusion. Opposition parties are blaming Prime Minister Netanyahu's administration for reckless military actions that endangered Israeli troops and broke international agreements. Israeli defense sources claim that the convoy was conducting a routine supply mission and accidentally crossed a few meters beyond the boundary. But the satellite evidence released by Egypt tells a different story, showing Israeli vehicles advancing deep into the prohibited zone moments before the strike. The situation has electrified the Arab world. Crowds gathered in Cairo, chanting slogans of unity with Gaza and waving Palestinian and Egyptian flags. On social media, hashtags like #EgyptStrikesBack and #CeasefireBroken have begun trending worldwide. Analysts are calling this one of the most serious direct military confrontations between Egypt and Israel since the Camp David peace accords of 1979. In Gaza, celebrations erupted as word of the Egyptian strike spread. Many Palestinians see it as a rare moment of Arab solidarity in their struggle against Israeli aggression. One local resident told reporters, "For once, someone stood up to them. Egypt sent a message loud and clear: Gaza is not alone." But as emotions rise, so does the danger. The Israeli Defense Forces have placed their southern command on high alert, moving anti-air defense systems closer to the Sinai border. Fighter jets have been spotted flying low near Rafah and Khan Younis. Military analysts fear that Israel could retaliate within hours. If it does, the entire region could be pulled into a conflict that no one can control. American officials have urged restraint. The U.S. Secretary of State called both Cairo and Tel Aviv, warning that escalation could jeopardize years of diplomatic progress. Yet behind closed doors, U.S. defense analysts acknowledge that Israel's military posture has become increasingly aggressive in recent months, testing the limits of its allies' patience. In the broader geopolitical arena, this incident couldn't have come at a worse time. Iran, Russia, and Turkey are already expanding their influence across the Middle East. Moscow has condemned Israel's actions, calling them provocative and dangerous. Tehran went further, praising Egypt's response and warning that any future violations of ceasefires will meet regional consequences. As dawn breaks over the Sinai desert, the wreckage of Israel's destroyed convoy still burns. Drone footage shows twisted metal, charred vehicles, and smoke rising into the sky a grim reminder of how quickly peace can turn into chaos. The Israeli military has begun recovering the bodies of its fallen soldiers under heavy guard. At the same time, Egypt has fortified its border, deploying more tanks and surfaced missile batteries along the perimeter. Experts say this clash could mark the beginning of a new phase of regional instability. The old boundaries between allies and adversaries are blurring. Egypt, long a mediator in Israeli-Palestinian conflicts, may now find itself in direct opposition to Israel's military ambitions. For ordinary people in the region, the fear is palpable. Gaza residents are once again stocking up on food and fuel, worried that another full-scale war could erupt. Egyptian civilians near Rafah have been ordered to evacuate certain areas as a precaution. Meanwhile, Israeli citizens are questioning whether their government's strategy is pushing the nation toward isolation and war. In Jerusalem, a visibly shaken Netanyahu, who addressed the press stating, "Israel will defend itself against any attack from any direction." His words were firm, but his tone betrayed the gravity of the situation. Military insiders believe the Israeli cabinet is divided, some urging restraint to avoid a regional crisis, others calling for an immediate retaliatory strike on Egyptian positions. Across the Middle East, alliances are shifting rapidly. Arab leaders are watching closely from Amman to Riyadh as the fragile balance of power tilts once again. Could this be the spark that reignites the broader Arab-Israeli conflict? Or will diplomatic channels manage to pull both sides back from the brink? Western analysts say it's a defining moment. Egypt's action, they argue, demonstrates that even countries with peace treaties will act militarily if provoked. It sends a powerful message: Israel's military dominance no longer guarantees immunity. The psychological impact of this strike could reshape regional deterrence dynamics for years to come. As night falls, tension remains sky-high. Israel's southern airspace has been restricted. Fighter jets continue to patrol. Egyptian radar systems are fully operational. Both sides know that one miscalculation could trigger all-out war. Behind closed doors, negotiations are underway. UN envoys are attempting to establish communication between the two militaries to prevent further bloodshed. But trust has been shattered, and suspicion runs deep. Each side accuses the other of deception. For now, the world can only watch. The Middle East stands at a dangerous crossroads, one missile away from catastrophe. And while diplomats scramble to restore calm, the people on the ground brace for what comes next. As history has shown, ceasefires in this region are fragile illusions, easily broken, rarely respected. The events of last night prove that the peace process remains as fragile as ever, and that beneath every promise of calm lies the potential for chaos. Will Israel retaliate? Will Egypt stand its ground? Or will world powers intervene before another war ignites? The answers may come within hours, and they could redefine the balance of power across the Middle East. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this developing story with updates from Cairo, Tel Aviv, and the United Nations. This is not just another military incident, it's a turning point in the modern Middle East, one that could alter the course of history. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.